use of cell phone or portable phone,
and
it's cumulative
and
over
it's
time.
irreversible, isn't it?
Very well put. It's irreversible. And we're talking about a zombie nation here.
And when it happens, is it going to be like overnight? I mean, will all these young children one day reach that age of 20, let's say, and all of a sudden, bang, millions of them are spaced out. They're like zombies. What's going to happen?
No, we're there. We're there already. And it's not going to be a big cataclysmic event that will grab our attention. It's an event that is already grabbing our attention, and it masquerades as attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, autism, a real pandemic in autism right now, various contributing factors, of course, particularly autism linked to mercury and vaccines, but certainly cell phone, portable phone radiation, cell phone tower radiation, the wireless routers in homes, on and on. This radiation is already causing behavioral disorders, mood disorders, learning disorders in children. Teachers are seeing it. Parents are seeing it. And what's happening? Kids are being dosed with psychoactive drugs and sent back to wireless classrooms.
Now, in California here, they have outlawed the use of cell phones while you hold them in your car. So you've got to be hands-free, which means you've got to use these speaker systems on the phone. What do you think of those systems, Bill?
Speaker or wire. This study that we're talking about tonight, at the bottom end of it, gave recommendations for, quote, being safe with your cell phone. And that study recommended the use of wire-free, hands-free headsets that are wired to the head, have a wire connecting the phone to a headset, or speakerphone that you mentioned. What we're finding now in states in the United States that have outlawed the use of cell phones held to the head in driving and have gone to hands-free, accident rates have stayed the same or actually increased.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And the reason is, and I hope that some state legislators are listening tonight, the insurance studies bear this out. In Ontario and in the United States, the studies show it's not the distraction caused by talking on the cell phone. Texting's another matter, of course. That's
worse.
Plain and simple murder.
Yeah.
But talking on a cell phone is not the distraction. That's not the problem here. We all know, George, what people do in the front seat of cars. Okay, all kinds of things. And that's our baseline for these studies. The problem is that cell phone radiation impairs the brain and slows reaction time so that a teenage driver with those magnificent reflexes and not much experience ends up driving with the reflexes of an 80-year-old who actually, if they're not using a cell phone, can compensate to some degree by their greater experience in driving. So it's the effects on brain and reaction time.
It's almost like
it
hypnotizes them or something, huh?
It shuts down the brain's ability to accurately spatially orient itself. This is new stuff I just turned up for this program tonight. And it also slows reaction times drastically, as I'm mentioning. This is the problem with cell phones. Now, we go to hands-free phones in the car. What do we have? We have a metal Faraday cage, the metal structure of the car or truck. That means that the phone has to work even harder to get its signal. So it's putting out more radiation. How much more? Up to 3 times more. So you're actually increasing the radiation levels, electromagnetic radiation levels in that car. You're increasing the impact on the brain. You're decreasing the ability to respond by using hands-free. That's a long answer. The short answer, it's worse.
The world has gone to text messaging these days. Now, my question is if you're not driving, because that's a no-no, but if you're merely like sitting down somewhere, is it safe just to text away like that?
If you're using a cell phone away from your body, that means away from your lap in particular.
Yeah, let's say it's on the table in front of you.
And you're texting. you're certainly, by definition, going to cut down the immediate impact on your brain. That's true. People say, well, texting's safer. Here's my problem with this, George. Now that texting has become an epidemic of addiction, it's called compulsive texting disorder.
A new affliction has been created.
And it's serious. I mean, in China and in South Korea, there are government remediation programs for kids that are compulsive texters.
Hold on, Bill, while I answer this text, by the way. Can you hold for a second? I'm only kidding.
Parents are trying to talk to their children, and they're saying, my kid's texting in front of me, and I can't even converse with them. So this is a serious social problem, and here's the physical aspect of this. The more we use cell phones and wireless devices to text, the more cell phone towers we're going to have, and as we saturate the frequencies now in use with Wi-Fi, we are replacing them. I should say the industry is replacing these towers. Already bad enough. We're over 250,000 of them in the U.S. right now. Replacing them with WiMAX. Oh, my goodness. Now we're going up to 4, 6 gigabytes and higher gigahertz, of frequency transmission. What does this mean?
Jeez. Well, I saw a couple this weekend. They were having dinner. Good-looking couple. They looked like they were a great match for each other.
Yeah.
They sit down at the dinner table.
Oh, yeah.
He's got his cell phone.
Yeah.
She's got her phone. And they're texting each other, or they're friends. And they didn't even talk at dinner. I mean, they didn't even look at each other in the eyes. They were just texting away.
We're losing the ability to converse. Kids say it's a lot less scary, unquote, to text my friend than to deal with them face-to-face because they might say something that makes me uncomfortable. So we have kids texting each other as they walk side by side down the hall. We have the... I'm concerned. I'm concerned at the social aspects of this. And again, more and more and more of these cell phone towers, that means that we're all being bathed in this radiation, whether we want to use these cell phones and wireless computers or not. That's the problem.
Well, that's what I want to talk with you about when we come back. I want to talk about this bombardment of electromagnetic radiation that's all over the place. Our special guest is Will Thomas, and we'll be back in a moment. Plus, we'll take some of your phone calls right here on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast. William Thomas with us. We're going to take your phone calls. William, electromagnetic hazards. We're getting bombarded all over the place. Power lines, cell phone towers, it's everywhere. Even in our house, some of the electrical wires, I'm sure, create that field around us. How do we get away from it?
Well, we take whatever steps we can in our lives to avoid or mitigate exposure. That means we can remove the wireless routers from our homes. We can remove those those portable phone cradles, which actually are worse, have been measured worse than a cell phone tower down the street, because that cradle is radiating 24/7 throughout the entire house.
And most of the time it's right by your head.
And right by your head or by the bed or Aunt Martha who's sick upstairs. So bye-bye portable phone. We can use wired routers, wired telephones. We can do quite a bit to mitigate our exposure. Home wiring is most often, not grounded properly, even if it's wired to code. We can find an electrician who understands proper grounding, and for not much money, make sure that our house wiring is grounded and not simply sending dirty electricity through our water pipes.
I'm going to buy filters and plug them in.
Some of those filters actually do seem to work pretty well. People can research that online. One real big issue is work-related. How do we get away from the routers in the workplace, in the office, and the boss is insisting that we are reachable by cell phone at all hours, so that phone is on at all times. And now we see young women working in the big box stores with these radio transmitters belted to their hips, putting out radiation in very sensitive areas of the body, and I would hazard a guess that at least some of those young women don't even know that they're pregnant, and the effects of electromagnetic radiation on the fetus are gigantic, cannot be overestimated.
Well, you've brought up an interesting point here, Will, because there is no doubt that the sterilization of the world is on the increase. Could it be because of these electromagnetic hazards?
I don't think there's any question that they play a major role, and I believe that they're synergistic. They're an amplification effect with chemical contamination that is also widespread worldwide. Again, if I can point to my book, ABCs of Cell Phones, Other Hazards of the Wireless Age, I put a link up to free samples of that ebook on my website, and inside I talk about some of the research that points directly to cell phone and wireless radiation causing known, clinically tested, severe decreases in sperm count in men, and the surviving sperm cannot fertilize a woman's egg. So definitely we are sterilizing the world population with our electromagnetic radiation. No question.
Let's go to some of the phone calls here as they line up for you, Will. Let's go to Irving, Texas. By the way, Chris, you're up with us on Coast to Coast. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, thanks.
I just had something to let y'all know, and y'all can disagree with this if y'all want. I disagree with y'all saying that cell phone causes, like, well, I know it has radiation in it.
All right, sure.
You know,
what do you disagree with, though?
You know, people say like it causes cancer and stuff, and like brain tumors. I don't think so.
Why don't you think so?
Just because you've
done a study?
A cell phone. No, I've never done a study.
Oh, you haven't. You haven't. Okay.
But just a cell phone's not that powerful to
well,
give you a brain tumor.
let's let you listen to Will Thomas to tell you why. Go ahead, Will.
That's a telling comment. It came in at the very end there. Cell phones are not powerful enough to cause cancer or other ill health effects, and that's a common excuse given by the cell phone industry. And in fact, the caller, Chris, is correct insofar as he's saying this is a very low power level that we're seeing from cell phones. The problem is that the lower power levels are worse in many cases than the higher levels, and that's because our bodies, our electrochemical